Addiction and substance abuse are a health issue, not a criminal issue. We have got to learn and understand that, by and large, the so-called war on drugs has been a failure. Over the last 30 years, millions of Americans have received police records for possessing marijuana. Now, you can argue about the pluses and minuses of marijuana, but right now, under the Federal Controlled Substance Act, marijuana is listed as a Schedule I drug right next to heroin. Now, I trust that every person in this room knows that heroin is a killer drug, causing devastating problems in my state and all over this country. Now, whatever you think about marijuana, marijuana is not heroin. And that is why I have legislation in that would take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. Now, under our federalist form of government, we have federal, state, and local government. Whether or not marijuana becomes legal is a state issue, but it should not be a federal crime. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. I want to tell you, if I might, a very brief story. In 2008, I believe, I went to a town some of you may know here in Florida, some of you may not. It's called Immokalee, Florida. Does that ring a bell? It's not. It's a small town near Naples. And the reason that I went there, because I had learned that undocumented workers were being incredibly exploited. Immokalee is one of the towns where a lot of low-grade tomatoes, the tomatoes used by McDonald's and Burger King, are grown. And I went there, and ironically enough, and I don't know if any of you remember this, this is 2008, on the day that I arrived in Immokalee, front page story is that some contractor there was being charged with slavery. Did you all here know that? I couldn't believe what I was reading. 2008, people are charged with slavery, holding people in involuntary servitude. Well, what we did is I got up too early in the morning, but it's when the tomato people, go to work at 5:30 in the morning, and I saw what they experienced. I saw what these workers experienced, and it was not a pleasant sight. They are underpaid. They were exploited. The housing they lived in was gross, and their working conditions were unacceptable. And what we did is we held a hearing in Washington, D.C. with the committee that I'm on, Senator Ted Kennedy, the late Senator Ted Kennedy. Work with me to hold that hearing. To make a very long story short, that with the help of the great organizers who are working and the workers themselves, we significantly improved living conditions and wages for those workers. And what I have learned since in going around the country speaking to the Latino community is that people are frightened and tired of living in the shadows. They are tired and fearful about maybe a relative of theirs being deported. I remember. And what they are asking me, and which I agree with, is we need comprehensive immigration reform. And a path toward citizenship. And let me also say this. People in this country may have honest differences of opinion about a lot of issues, immigration reform and so forth, and I respect that. People have differences of opinion. But in the year 2016, bigotry and hatred is not acceptable. It is beyond comprehension that people like Donald Trump and others are thinking talking about sweeping up millions of people and deporting them. Not going to happen, never will happen, never should happen. And if Congress does not do its job and pass comprehensive immigration reform, I will use all the powers of the presidency to protect those people. Our job together is to unite families, not to divide families. Now, there is another issue I want to talk to everybody about, and that is, you got Republicans running all over this country talking about family values. And it's important that everybody in this room, in this state, and in this country understand what Republicans mean by family values. I think I'm just going to invite people up here to give my speeches. Because you're always 8 seconds ahead of me. But here's what I was going to say. What I was going to say is when Republicans talk about family values, everybody needs to know what they are really saying is that no woman in this arena, in this state, in this country, should have the right to control her own body. I disagree. What Republicans are saying is they want to defund Planned Parenthood. I want to expand Planned Parenthood. What Republicans are saying is that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to get married. I disagree. Now, when you talk about hypocrisy, this issue is at a high... Now, I know I don't shock anybody by suggesting that in politics there's a bit of hypocrisy. But this issue kind of takes the cake in this sense. You got Republicans running around the country. They say government is awful. It is terrible. We're going to get the government off your backs. We're going to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education. We're going to end the EPA. We hate the government, except when a woman has a very personal choice to make, then they love the government. And they want state government and the federal government to make that decision for every woman in America. That is hypocrisy. Let me mention to you that I am criticized every day for one thing or another. Mostly it's about thinking too big, thinking that this country can actually address the major crises that we face. I have apparently more confidence in the American people than many others. It turns out that all over the industrialized world, whether it's the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Holland, Scandinavia, Canada, all over the industrialized world, health care is guaranteed to all people. Now, the Affordable Care Act, and I'm on the committee that helped write it, has done some very good things. We have done away with this obscenity of pre-existing conditions. We have provided health insurance to 17 million more Americans. And we have done away with discrimination against women who are paying higher prices for premiums because they're women. But today, 29 million Americans still have no health insurance, and many of you are underinsured with high deductibles and high co-payments. All right? And in America, we are being ripped off big time by the drug companies. Some of the worst vultures in America. And they charge us by far the highest prices in the world for medicine. In fact, you want to talk about crazy? Here's crazy. Today, 1 out of 5 Americans cannot afford to fill the prescriptions their doctors are writing. Meanwhile, the top 3 drug companies made $45 billion in profits last year. That's crazy. And then on top of all of that, we spend far more per person on health care than do the people of any other country. 3 times, almost 3 times what the British spend, 50% more than the French, far more than the Canadians. Now, I have been criticized for something, so let me say it as straightforwardly as I possibly can so my critics understand where I am coming from. I believe that health care is a right of all people. And that is why I believe we should move toward a Medicare for all health care program. Now, One of the criticisms or attacks made against our campaign is people say, well, Bernie's a nice guy, he combs his hair ever so beautifully. Occasionally the suit that he wears actually fits him.